good morning, blessed people. How you all doing? This is beautiful life. Let me fix this. Oh, let it fix. Okay. All right. Let me see the lighting. Oh, the second people. Let me see. Oops. All right. Sorry about that. Yes, yes, yes. Lovely people. Welcome to Beautiful Life. It's a new day, and I say thank you, Lord. You have been great. You have been merciful. We just bless your name and we ask for guidance, protection. This day I pray. Amen. All right, beautiful people. So, let me see. I just woke up to the news. I didn't see last night regarding the plane that collides with an army helicopter in Washington, D.C. All right, so it is such a sad morning. Sad morning. I'm sorry about that. Yes, it's a sad morning for all the families who are now experiencing such a loss. You know, but I'm thinking, how did the plane and the helicopter get in such space? Because air control, or what they call them, supposed to be directing the plane and should have seen. But from what they said, the helicopter was told to go behind the plane after they realized they were in the same space. Obviously, the pilot didn't follow instructions. Didn't follow instructions, right? So to me, that's careless. That's careless. Hello, hi, Danny. That is carelessness. So many lives. I think they say there were about 60 people on board the plane, and I don't know how many persons were on the helicopter. And they said they were training. But why would they want to train? Why do they train in the space as the as the normal plane area? You know, right? It's a lot of planes that go through daily, right? And at night you may have a number of planes, but that should be secure space, right? All right, so let's see if we can hear some of what being said right now. Just
In the
listen.
helicopter so far, no survivors. Our team has been working all night tracking the latest developments on that crash.
Amy Lou begins our coverage near the site of where the crash happened. Amy. We've been watching crews working throughout the night in this search and rescue mission. We are standing right now in an area off the Potomac River near Reagan National Airport, and you can actually see those emergency lights dotting the water in the background here, and that is where that American Airlines plane and military Black Hawk helicopter crashed mid-air. Now, crews are using white tarps to cover what appear to be several body bags carried by boat from the Potomac to tents at a staging area nearby. We also saw more boats hauling plane parts to shore. American Airlines confirming it was one of their jets arriving from Wichita, Kansas last night, carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members. It was on its final approach to land here in D.C. when it collided with the helicopter that was conducting a training mission with 3 members on board. More than 300 responders throughout the region arriving within minutes of the crash, working quickly to get boats and divers into the water, searching for survivors in the cold and dark water and what's being described as an extremely rough condition.
It's just dangerous and hard to work in, and because there's not a lot of lights, you're out there searching every square inch of space to see if you can find anybody. And divers are doing the same thing in the water. The water is dark, it is murky, and that is a very tough condition for them to dive in.
All air traffic is being paused at Reagan National Airport until at least 11 a.m. this morning. It is, by the way, one of the busiest runways in the country. But for now, emergency responders say their priority, their focus right now is finding any survivors and supporting victims' families. A federal investigation is underway looking into how this crash happened. In Washington, I'm Amy Lowe. Thank you, Amy. The U.S.
Yes, people, this is so sad. It is so sad. It is a sad day, really. Condolence out to those families, both from helicopter and the plane, right? It is so sad. I can't understand how that really happened. I can't understand how that happened. You know? Well, they said they told the army plane to stay behind, but obviously he didn't listen. Didn't listen. Oh, mighty God. What a sad morning. What a sad day. What a sad day. And they showed there was a wife and husband, a couple, on the plane. Most of them were coming from some games or something. It was said. Let me see if I can find something else regarding that. Yeah, figure skaters, coaches among passengers aboard jet that collided with helicopter over DC. So figure skaters, coaches among passengers aboard jet that collided with helicopter in DC. Let's see what they say here. All right, that's all right. All right, let's hear what some of these people have to say. This is the third report I've seen that listed the plane crashing into the helicopter. The plane was on a route noon flight. I would say the helicopter crashed into the airplane. Yes, I would say that because I heard they were saying the plane crashed into the helicopter. Not the plane crashing. It would be the helicopter crashing into the plane, because it's not the helicopter. That's the route for the plane, right? That's the route for the plane. So, okay. Let's see what others say. Technically, since the jet would be moving so much faster than the chopper, yeah, this is accurate. But from the recording, the helicopter clearly cut the plane off. Exactly. The plane was exactly where it was meant to be on its flight path. Yeah, because the plane is in its area. It didn't go out of its space. That's where it's supposed to be. Possible helicopter pilot mistook a plane taking off for the CRJ. The Secretary of Transportation already confirmed that both aircrafts were on standard flight patterns. So we don't know what crashed into what yet. Well, they say it's the helicopter that crashed into the plane. Somebody's saying no. I'm just reading some comments. Somebody's saying it looks like the ATC told the LA to cross the river behind the plane, but for some reason they crossed in front of the plane, which was stupid. Saw the clip. Helicopter is clearly at fault. Won't know till we get more info, but it clearly looked that way. All right, so that is some comments regarding the helicopter. It's a Black Hawk helicopter, so that's a big Helicopter. All right, let's see. Let me see if I can do
Good
something.
evening, everyone. We're coming on the air with breaking news. The crash of a major airline flight, the first we've seen in the United States in more than 15 years. Here's where things stand right now. The FAA has confirmed that an American Airlines regional jet carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members collided with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. The aircraft crashing into the Potomac River. The flight was en route from Wichita, Kansas to Reagan National Airport in Washington when the accident happened just after 9 p.m. Eastern Time. An Army official says preliminary indications are that there were 3 people on board the Black Hawk, the chopper that the jet collided with. Emergency officials say they are coordinating a search and rescue operation in the river. We do not know yet information about casualties. President Trump has also been briefed about what happened. I want to go to Peter Alexander right now. He is on the scene along the river where the search is underway. Peter, have they located or pinpointed the area of where these aircraft went down?
Lester, we can't say with certainty if they have, but let me give you a sense of exactly where we're standing. We are on the Virginia side. We are on the west side of the Potomac River right now, and at this hour, obviously, it is pitch black, but in the distance, if we push the camera in right now, you can see what is basically the southern portion of the Washington Mall, an area known as Haynes Point, familiar to anybody who's been in this area, for a popular public golf course there. And in the last 10 minutes, Lester, we saw those emergency vehicles almost in unison moving south to that place. Their lights are flashing, as you see, but there is a stream of lights all across both sides of the river at this hour. To give you a better understanding, if we are standing where we are standing right now, we're about a mile, half mile to a mile south of DCA, Reagan National Airport along the Potomac, and clearly this is an urgent effort to try to identify where the plane went down and to try to find any survivors that they can at this time. The water temperature, according to our meteorologist, Bill Cairns, said to be about 35 degrees right now, which means hypothermia sets in perhaps 30 minutes or a little bit longer, which gives, if this took place about an hour, 2 hours ago, a very short window for an effort to try to save anybody here. I got to tell you, Lester, this is a very complex airspace. It's the intersection of the planes that are landing at DCA and also the very protected airspace that is around the Washington Mall, the nation's capital, and the White House as well. We have now heard from President Trump, who I'm told has been briefed as part of this effort. He says, I've been fully briefed on the terrible accident which just took place at Reagan National Airport. May God bless their souls. Thank you for the incredible work being done by our first responders. I am monitoring the situation and will provide more details as they arise. We are also hearing from both the Republican governor of the state of Virginia, the Democratic governor.
Okay, people, so that is it regarding the American Airlines flight and the Black Hawk helicopter that crashed in Washington, D.C. That is really a sad, sad, sad moment. Oh, okay. May the Lord bless and may they rest in peace. Lord bless and keep the families that are mourning, and pray that their soul rest in peace. This is so. See, people, even when you're about to land, you're in the plane and you're about to land, you just have to give thanks when you land and you come out the plane. You just never know what can happen. No, these people thought they were about to land. Things would have been fine, and what? You just can't say you're safe until you're literally on the ground and the plane stop. Literally. It is sad. It is so sad. It is so sad, people. It is so sad. Jesus. So now they stop searching because the water is very cold. It's danger for all those who are gonna search. The divers gonna be at danger if they were to go down. I don't know. Hello, hi. Yes, so It is a sad occasion. Officials believe there are no survivors after a mid-air plane crash. There couldn't be any survivors after that. Let me see what's going on with this. Let's see.
In New York with Adriana Diaz, we continue our coverage of the mid-air collision that killed dozens of people outside Washington's Reagan National Airport. An Army Black Hawk helicopter on a training mission collided with an American Airlines flight from Wichita, Kansas, just before 9 p.m. local time.
Jesus.
Crews have been working all night at the crash site, recovering bodies and searching for survivors. Nicole Skanga is at a presser that is taking place
Let's hear
right now.
another news.
Yeah, this presser happening imminently, and earlier today we heard from law enforcement agencies across the capital region about just how expansive this search and rescue mission has been, with over 300 personnel on the ground and in the water. Of course, the big question remaining, are there any survivors? How many bodies have been recovered? A law enforcement source telling CBS News that at least 30 individuals, 30 bodies have been recovered from the icy Potomac, waiting on official confirmation here from authorities just regarding how much debris, how many individuals they were able to actually pull from the water here. And authorities could also tell us a little bit more about when we will switch from this being a search and recovery mission to specifically more of a salvage mission. We know that investigators are also on the ground with the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board. They are the lead on this investigation. We are waiting to hear what they were able to recover on the scene, what they'll be looking for. Of course, we know that investigators right now are very focused on why this Army Black Hawk helicopter was flying at such a low altitude near the airport. Everyone asking that question today. Beyond that, of course, we know that there were 60 passengers and 4 crew members aboard the plane, in addition to 3 Army soldiers in that Black Hawk. But we know few details regarding who was on that flight, so hoping that authorities might also share a little bit more with us about some of those victims there.
Still so many questions, Nicole. Thank you so much. Stand by a second. Let us know when that press conference starts. But for now, let's go to our senior transportation correspondent, Chris Van Cleve. Chris?
Adriana, those helicopters are supposed to fly at 200 feet or less when they approach the arrival pattern or the departure pattern for Washington Reagan Airport. We were up in the DC police helicopter just a couple of weeks ago ahead of the inauguration, and when we approached the area that was under Reagan Tower control, we very quickly descended from about 850 feet down below 200 feet for that very reason, to be out of the way of the commercial airline traffic that was operating. So one of the things that investigators are going to want to try to understand here is if the preliminary flight data is correct, why the helicopter appears to perhaps have been above that 200-foot, what I would call a hard deck, if you will, for those helicopters. Obviously, a priority is going to be getting the black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder, the cockpit data recorder. There was some reports last night that a team thought they may have found at least one of them. So that may be an update we get today from the NTSB. Back inside to you, Adriana.
Chris, thank you so much. And we are now looking at this press conference that's about to begin.
Okay, so that's an explanation as to how the planes, the helicopter should follow in that location with the passenger planes, right?
Hey everyone, Dan Milliken here. We're doing our continuing coverage of the horrible, tragic crash of the PSA regional jet and the Sikorsky Black Hawk.
All right, let me come off of this because wow. Let me see. I don't know. Let me me see if I get.
Welcome back. A bright, sunny
this.
morning in Washington, D.C., and unfortunately, a terrible scene unfolding there. A recovery operation as first responders who bravely worked all night long in frigid waters, desperately searching for survivors, are now searching for remains of 67 people killed in a mid-air collision. It happened last night between a military helicopter and an American Airlines flight from Wichita, Kansas. It was on approach, about to land at Reagan National Airport.
Just moments away from landing, in fact. The investigation, of course, in its very early stages. This happened around 9 o'clock last night. Emergency crews there, as you saw, in the Potomac River, working to recover those victims. We have Captain Les Abend with us now. He's a retired pilot. He flew for American Airlines. Captain, thank you so much for your time this morning. I understand you spent about 40 years in the air. You've flown into Reagan National. We've talked a lot about what makes that airport unique in myriad ways. But we haven't spent a lot of time talking about what it's like to land a commercial aircraft when you do have so many military aircraft around. We know that this airport's about 20 miles away from where that Black Hawk took off. Talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges that can pose.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. At the end of the day, that was very early on in my career, but it was it's a very challenging airport. There's a lot of airspace, and a lot of it is military airspace. The most specific airspace is the prohibited area over the Capitol that protects our folks there. It's challenging. One of the things that Sully mentioned in your last segment was the ability to see other aircraft at night. Yes, you've got what we call nav lights in order to be able to see the airplane, but it melts into the surrounding area. There are numerous lights. We know how congested Washington is. So all of that melts into it. What folks might not realize is that the approach for this particular runway starts almost 80 miles out and then ends in really what's a visual approach, which means you have to see the runway. And if there's other traffic, like in this circumstance, you have to, if you're advised of that traffic, you have to advise that traffic in sight. So my concern is during this very intense and challenging approach that happens, that starts as an instrument approach and ends as really as a visual approach, why was this helicopter in that airspace? The military and the civilian environment works very well because they work with each other. The controllers are one of the best in the country. So I don't know where the disconnect occurred at this point.
Of course, that is the subject of many, many questions, which are just starting to be looked into this morning by the FAA and the NTSB. But just thinking about it from the perspective of the regional jet, I mean, we know from the snippets of air traffic control communication that we've heard that the chopper was told to pass behind the regional jet. So the chopper knows, evidently, that the jet is there. We don't know is if the jet knows that the chopper is in the area. And even if it did, if you're landing and you're moments away from landing at Reagan National, I mean, are evasive maneuvers even possible, even if you did know?
Well, yes and no. Of course, the evasive maneuvers are always possible. It's been mentioned in other segments that you've had that we have warning systems on board the aircraft that would allow us to do that regardless of controller instructions. So it was mentioned by Dennis Tager, the spokesman for the Allied Pilots Association, that system is disabled audio-wise when it gets to a certain altitude above the ground. So that may very well have been the case, and that could have prevented this situation. We don't know. We don't know. But
Can I just clarify? So you're saying this system that is on these commercial airlines that are supposed to alert you if there's other traffic in the area, it essentially mutes when you're in an airport scenario because there are so many different aircraft in that scenario as there should be.
Correct, but it's only mute at below certain altitudes because, as was mentioned, there's a lot of other complicated things that happen below 500 feet, for instance, that are going to require the crew's attention. But that system will tell you to either climb or descend. It won't tell you to turn left or right. It will tell you to climb or descend based on what that other aircraft is doing.
Captain, again, to be clear, We don't want to speculate about causes here, who or what's to blame, but we have done a fair amount of reporting over the last couple of years, especially in this country, about an air traffic controller shortage. What are the practical impacts of having fewer air traffic controllers now than we did just a few years ago? What does that mean on a daily basis at our country's airports?
It's felt all over the country. I mean, these guys and gals are probably working fatigued because they're working a little bit harder on the shift. They're working more shifts potentially. There is restrictions on the time that they're able to be there, but it takes a while to train the controllers, as we probably know, as you've aptly covered in some of your segments. Listen, I fly a little airplane now that I'm retired. I've noticed it in some of the services that I'm able to receive. A lot of times I can't go through airspace that normally I'd be allowed to go through because of the fact that they're short-staffed.
Retired Captain Les Obin. Captain, thank you for your perspective this morning. We are back with much more on this Thursday morning, but first, this is Today on NBC.
Okay, people, so we hear some more perspective from Pilot himself, right? So, it is just a sad moment. Sad moment. Yes. Hey there. Hi, hey there. Hi, hey there. Hi, hey there. Is that my little friend from Alabama? Let me know, I think. So yes, people, so that is my thought on the unfortunate situation there in Washington. All right, so I'm gonna say bye for now till I come back shortly, not long from now, with another conversation. All right, remember to like, share, subscribe. Right, thumbs up, please. Thumbs up, give me some thumbs up. Okay, all right, beautiful people. Beautiful life scene. Have a nice day.